This drama had everything it needed to dominate 2025 and still managed to sabotage itself. Welcome to Drama Bank. Today's deposit, 9 Puzzles, a show that flirts with masterpiece status, delivers some of the most intense episodes of the year, and then repeatedly shoots its own potential in the foot. If you've ever finished a drama and thought, this could have been legendary if they'd just fixed that, this review is for you. Stay with us till the end because the way I feel about the final 2 episodes is completely different from how I feel about the mystery as a whole, and those 2 sides constantly fight each other in my head. Imagine this lineup. A profiler who looks like she walked out of a twisted Sherlock fanfic, brilliant, socially off, emotionally locked up. A detective who's been stuck in the same rank for 10 years because one case ruined his career. A serial killer leaving puzzle pieces at every crime scene, practically daring the police to connect dots. Now throw in a cast packed with some of the most charismatic actors working right now, wrap it in sleek, cinematic direction, and you've got a drama that should be untouchable. And yet, as the episodes go on, something feels off. The identity of the killer starts to look a little too obvious. The investigation team doesn't feel as sharp as the premise promised. The deaths become harder and harder to believe on a practical level. But then episode 10 hits, and suddenly the show reminds you exactly why you were hooked in the first place. That push-pull is the story of 9 Puzzles for me. At its core, 9 Puzzles is a dark crime thriller about a profiler, Aina, teaming up with Detective Hansame to solve a string of murders tied together by puzzle pieces. Each new case feels like part of a bigger pattern, and the show presents itself as a psychological chess match. Profiler versus killer, guilt versus survival, logic versus trauma. Aina is the kind of character who doesn't ask to be liked. She's prickly, strange, and hard to read, but that's exactly what makes her fascinating. Every reaction feels like it's hiding 3 others underneath. Hansame is quieter, worn down, observant, and carrying a decade of regret around like extra weight on his shoulders. The tone hooked me right away. It's grim without being joyless. It has that sharp, polished thriller energy, cold lighting, tight close-ups, well-timed silences. The banter between Aina and Hansame adds just enough dry humor to keep the story from collapsing under its own darkness. It feels like a carefully crafted puzzle box, and early on I really believed it knew exactly where it was going. The world of 9 Puzzles feels deliberate. The crime scenes aren't just there to shock. They're staged in a way that makes you want to pause and stare. The pacing in the first half is tight. Reveal, consequence, quiet character beat, then back into the case. I loved how the show balanced case-driven tension with character-driven tension. Even when the mystery itself wasn't mind-blowing, the mood kept me invested. It has that this could be a film quality. Each episode feels like it's trying to be a complete emotional hit, not just filler on the way to a twist. Aina is the engine of this story. She's not warm, she's not there to comfort anyone, and she's not written to be relatable in a conventional way. She's the kind of character that makes you lean forward. What happened to you? Why do you work like this? Why are you so good at reading other people, but so bad at connecting with them? Hansame acts as a kind of grounding force. He's not a flashy genius. He's tired, skeptical, and careful. Watching him slowly shift from, I do not trust this woman, to I'm going to stand beside her even when I don't fully understand her, was one of my favorite things in the entire show. Their relationship is not a romance, and honestly, that's a huge strength. It's about recognition. 2 people who are broken in different ways slowly deciding to rely on each other. The tension is there, but it never hijacks the plot. It just enhances everything around it. The cast is doing heavy lifting here. Aina feels like a real person because of the performance behind her, the tiny cracks in her expression, the moments where her mask slips for half a second and then snaps back into place. Hansame's quiet grief and frustration are sold not by big speeches, but by the way he watches, hesitates, and swallows his reactions. The psychiatrist who becomes central to the story later on has a transformation that is one of the highlights of the show. There's a specific shift in her body language and voice that genuinely made my skin crawl in the best way. Captain Yang, the team leader, surprised me. On paper, he could have been a standard boss character, but once his motivations unfold, He ended up being one of the emotional pillars of the drama. Even when I was annoyed at the script, I never stopped appreciating the acting. That's a big part of why I stayed until the end. There's a stretch near the end, especially episode 10 and parts of episode 11, where 9 Puzzles shows you the version of itself that could have been drama of the year. Secrets finally surface. Backstories click into place. The emotional debt the show has been building up actually gets paid off. There are scenes in this section that feel raw, almost theatrical in the best way, confrontations where no one walks away clean. The final choice the killer makes, and the way it's portrayed, is where the show leans fully into tragedy. It stops being about catch the bad guy and becomes about people who were reshaped by pain and never really got a chance to heal. Those moments left me staring at the screen long after the credits. If 9 Puzzles had consistently hit that level, emotionally and structurally, we'd be having a different conversation. Now for the frustrating side. For a story that sells itself on tension and deduction, the identity of the killer becomes a little too easy to spot. The framing, the way certain scenes are constructed, even some visual choices, they all quietly point in one direction. Spotting the answer early isn't automatically a problem. It becomes a problem when the show still behaves like it's protecting a huge secret. The narrative keeps acting surprised on your behalf long after you've already connected the dots. That undercuts a lot of the suspense. Once that happens, the burden shifts heavily to why they did it and how they pulled it off, and that's where the next issue lands. In theory, this should be a series where you can sit there and think, could that have actually worked? Who had time? Who had access? How did they get in? That kind of mechanical satisfaction is central to good crime writing. Here, the killer often feels like they're operating with cheat codes turned on. They move in and out of places that should be difficult to access. They execute complicated killings in ways that are more theatrical than practical. Evidence seems weirdly cooperative. There are deaths where I found myself less intrigued and more confused, not in a what a clever trick way, but in a wait, how is that even possible with the information given way? When a show asks you to treat itself like a realistic thriller, you notice when it leans too hard on just go with it. This is supposed to be a profiler versus killer showdown. That's the fantasy. But there are long stretches where the profiler doesn't seem to be doing much actual profiling, and the police team feels reactive rather than proactive. There are moments where the audience is ahead of the characters not because we're geniuses, but because the writing holds them back. Insights arrive late, or in a way that feels convenient instead of earned. The special profiling team often feels like window dressing, talked up more than they are used. When a show sets up a battle of intellects, you want to feel that clash in every episode. Here, it only truly clicks in the final stretch, and by then, some of the damage is already done. This is the part that stung the most for me. The early and mid sections build Aina as someone sharp, tightly controlled, and mentally 2 steps ahead. Han's same gradually shifts from doubting her to trusting her instincts. Their teamwork, when it works, is one of the big payoffs. Then, as the focus shifts heavily onto the killer and the endgame, both leads start behaving in ways that feel less like themselves and more like pieces the plot needs to move into place. Aina, especially, ends up walking into emotional and physical traps that feel beneath the version of her we've come to know. The bond between the leads is sidelined exactly when it should be at its strongest. It makes the earlier character work feel partly wasted. It's not that they become unrecognizable, but there's a noticeable downgrade in how intelligently they're written. So here's why 9 Puzzles stays in my head. This isn't a harmlessly mediocre show. It's a show that brushes against greatness and then keeps pulling back. The cast is fantastic, but not everyone is used to their full potential. The mood is rich, but the logic underneath it doesn't always match. The emotional climax is powerful, but the route to get there is uneven. I walked away thinking, this had everything it needed to be the crime drama of 2025, and instead it became a case study in how writing choices can hold a project back even when everything else is firing. And yet, I don't regret watching it. The highs are genuinely high. Certain scenes, especially near the end, will stick with me far longer than my annoyance at the plot holes. So, if you haven't seen 9 Puzzles yet, here's my honest take. Watch it if you enjoy dark, moody thrillers with complex, damaged leads, and you're willing to forgive some logical gaps along the way. Be ready for a mystery that's more about emotional impact than airtight deduction. Expect frustration, but also expect moments where it absolutely nails what it's trying to do. For me, 9 Puzzles isn't the best drama of 2025, but it is one of the most interesting near misses of 2025, and sometimes those are the shows that spark the longest conversations. If you've seen it, tell me in the comments. Did the ending redeem the flaws for you? Or did the flaws drag down the ending? And which characters arc hit you the hardest? You've been watching Drama Bank, where we count emotional damage as interest. If this breakdown helped you make sense of your own feelings about 9 Puzzles, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next withdrawal.